Hey guys, it's Dennis here with Revog Games. I'm joined by...
Joshua Weyers, all the way in South Africa. You know, it's funny, Dennis. I feel like that's become my catchphrase.
Yeah,
I'll
all
be
the way
honest.
inside.
I don't introduce myself that way to people. Like, who does? Who
Well,
like
since you
who?
live there,
I'm Dennis from America.
yeah.
You know?
Well, it'd be weird if
It's
I did
yeah.
that with people who lived here, and it'd be weird if you did that with, people that you're meeting locally.
True.
But
It's just people wouldn't assume, and I don't think
yeah,
a lot of South Africans watch this.
no.
But I've gotten used to it. You know, I have a feeling I'm gonna keep it in my actual YouTube channel as
All
well.
right,
When
cool.
you
Well,
intro.
well, I'm Dennis from America, Los Angeles specifically.
Nice.
But yeah, this is our weekly games podcast. This one's a little delayed. We just had a bunch of. I know you had a bunch of stuff going on. I had a bunch of stuff going on and whatnot.
Yeah.
Today is actually Shang-Chi release date here. I've seen it.
For you. Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
What you
sorry.
said here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait, man. Well, I think we get it about a week or a week and a half later, so it's not a
Okay.
long wait.
Not
you
too
know?
too bad. I have seen it 3 times.
Oh man,
Saw it again
Dude,
last night. In
first of all,
IMAX.
congratulations, Dennis. Your tweet was up in frickin' New York,
In Times Square. Yeah, yeah.
in Times
That was,
Square. Your
that was nice.
tweet was in Times Square, Dennis. That's pretty
Nice.
freaking elite.
That is,
That's
it
pretty
was
elite.
it was a nice surprise. But anyways, it's a fantastic movie. I know this is a gaming podcast. You want to get that out of the way. Should check it out. One of the
I'm excited for it.
yeah. So all right. So let's talk about all the stuff we kind of missed last week and this week. A lot of big news. Some weeks we talk about like, oh man, there wasn't anything, but we got so much to talk
Yeah.
about. Let's start.
There's almost too much. Like
Yeah.
there's a couple links that I wanted to email to you, but it's like I don't think we have the time to get through some of the extra things I found.
Yeah, I had to delete
Yeah.
a few things, but let's talk.
We can add them onto the next week if
Yeah.
they're that important, you know.
Gamescom ended last
Mhm.
week, and there was like a lot of stuff that was kind of announced. We had that. I think we did talk about the Xbox stream. That I think that was like right before our last one, but the whole Gamescom conference was like still ongoing. After our last podcast, so we missed some of the stuff. One of the big things, so
Yeah.
the Xbox one, they did show, we mentioned they talked about a lot of the games that they had previously announced and just gone deeper into it, but was kind of announced afterwards was the release date for Halo Infinite, which is going to be December 8th this year. So I was wrong. I thought it was going to be like ending November, but it looks like early December. We had mentioned before not having the co-op campaign and the Forge and how that's going to affect sales, perhaps. I mean, it's not going to affect Game Pass, but any potential like other sales. But remember, the multiplayer stuff is free, so anyone, even the people not that don't have Game Pass and don't plan on purchasing it, they can still download the multiplayer free-to-play game there.
Yeah, exactly.
They released a trailer. Also, we had Elden Ring had it's interesting. They had shown like a 15-minute preview, but that was only to, I think, select groups of people. But then they talked about what they saw and whatnot. Marvel's Midnight Suns reveal trailer came out, and also another trailer that showed off some of the gameplay. It's a tactical combat RPG, tactical like combat RPG.
It's like XCOM.
Yeah,
you
it
know?
is like XCOM, but
It's
featuring
the kind of turn-based, if you will. Well, not turn, but you know what I mean. You have that. You have what's nice about those types of games is you can chill.
Yeah.
You can think about your decisions before you make them. You know, where you move your troops or whatever. You know.
Yeah. So a lot of announcements. What else did they get
I
into?
think they recently had. Didn't the Black Panther come to the Avengers
Yes.
game?
Yes.
So because the two things were like at least they dropped in the same week, I had no idea that this was a whole separate game that they announced. I thought this Midnight Suns thing was like an event for Marvel
Like
Avengers.
an event or a DLC
yeah,
for
I was so
Avengers,
I was so out of the loop at first. But
Yeah,
no, it's its own game, XCOM kind of type thing. You know what I mean? So there's actually a lot of other. I don't know why XCOM's the first one I think of. There's a lot of games that are kind of built that way, you know, or like that style.
Yeah.
I guess XCOM's the most famous, I think.
We already know Horizon Forbidden West was delayed to 2022, but they announced the actual date, which is February 18th, 2022. So it's not like super
On my
delayed. Yeah,
birthday. It's a
nice.
birthday present, Dennis. That's what that is.
Nice.
And I'm looking forward to that. I'll probably be playing it on the PS4, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But you know,
Well, to
beggars can't be choosers.
speak of the PS4, because this is kind of in the list. I guess we should talk about
Yeah,
all these things. Is that they're not offering a PS4 to PS5 upgrade,
yeah.
which is
But
weird.
which actually kind of, and well, it makes sense to me actually. Like
Really?
a lot of the free upgrades that were given out were things that were kind of promised before the launch of the PS5 even. You know what I mean? Where it's like, hey, buy this game and then when the PS5 does come out, you can upgrade for free, you know? But the PS5's been out for like a year. Like it was nice of people to give the free upgrades, but PS5's been out for a while. I don't think companies need to still do this whole free upgrade thing. It's nice, but like at some
Well,
point in time, they're gonna stop. You know what I mean?
as of right now, there is no upgrade. That's the thing. It's not even about the free
Mm.
upgrade. There's no like paid upgrade. So let's say you buy
Yeah.
the PS4 version now and you don't have a PS5 and you get a PS5 later and you want to upgrade that PS4 version to a PS5 version, let's say for 10,
Oh,
15
that
bucks
is
or
a
something.
problem. Yeah,
They do not
you have
have
to
that.
buy the whole thing for
And they have
$70 probably.
yes. So, yeah. Right now, it could change later. I think it'd be smart for them to change later, but who wants
Yeah.
to pay for the PS4 version that has a PS4 now and later gets a PS5 version and pays the full price for the PS5 version, you know? So,
Yeah. Well, people like me who can't wait, but that's not many. You know,
yeah,
that's not enough to bank. That's not enough to bank your profits on. You know.
yeah, I'm not saying they have to provide a free upgrade, but they
Yeah.
should offer some sort of
Well, yeah,
paid,
more people will be
affordable
more likely.
upgrade.
People are more likely to get it. Like you said, if you get the PS4 version, you pay your $60 for it. One day you get a PS5, you want to play the game again, but in 4K, 60 frames per
Yeah.
second. And you pay if you can like you're more likely to get that upgrade if you can pay. Well, then again, here's the thing. Like I suppose by the time most people do finally get a PS5, the base game might be marked down even. You never know, you know?
Even still,
If it
you know.
if it becomes a PlayStation Classic, that automatically makes it a $20 game. I don't know. Well, then again, I don't know if that's something that they're going to carry over to the PS5 generation. With the
Who
PS4,
knows?
once a Sony exclusive sold a certain amount of copies, it would
Hmm.
get marked down to $20 because it's
Yeah.
like a PlayStation Classic or something.
Yeah.
Um,
So
but yeah,
yeah, and then that's just something that may or may not change. I'm hoping it changes in the future, because people are gonna get upset at that type of price point. And the fact is, you can't even like PS5s are in limited supply. You can't even buy one if you get one. You know, like what are you gonna do? Buy the PS5
exactly. Yeah.
version, and you can't get a PS5. You know what I mean? Like, and then now you can't play on the PS4. Yeah, so just doesn't make sense.
At the moment, it's one of those things where you either have a PS5 or you don't, or even if you have the money for one, like you said, you know. Well, it depends where you stay. At the moment, we just recently got new stock in here, but people
Hmm.
can't really afford it. Like there was a new type of delivery service website out. Like Amazon isn't really out in South Africa, which kind of gives free market to a lot of websites to try to become the Amazon of South Africa.
Hmm.
At the moment, it's Takealot, but there's always these new ones popping up, and they did a deal on. They currently it's pretty cheap actually, considering. I've said this before. Here in South Africa, we pay the PS5 is about $500. We pay probably about $700 for
Oh
it out
my
here
god.
because of import tax
Yeah,
and things
yeah.
like that. It's insane.
It's
It's
like the whole
really
Quest
insane.
thing, right? You told me like Quest
Yeah.
is like super
It's
expensive.
it's just not worth. It's literally cheaper. It would almost be cheaper for me to fly to like America and buy it and fly
Yeah.
back. You know,
Or
or
fly
like
to
the
America,
like
buy a bunch
yeah.
of stuff. You can buy PS5. You can buy
Yeah.
Quest
Well, like
2. You can.
back when I was living in LA, literally every time my folks visited me, they would get themselves their new cell phones or new iPads in LA because it would literally be cheaper.
Mm,
Like that was the crazy part.
yeah. There's a bunch of other announcements.
Um,
You had the Horizon, sort of Forza
well,
Horizon 5.
there's the Saints Row reboot that they
Yeah.
announced, which I don't know how I feel about that. Like I'll be honest, like it's one of those things where my immediate reaction I was like, I'm so excited, I can't wait to. I love Saints Row, I love the series,
Hmm.
but and then I was like, I don't know if that game aged well. You know, I don't know if like the story, like it's one of those things where like, is the comedy gonna hold up? Is the like, you
Hmm.
know, like fart jokes were funny in the 2000s, man. You know, I don't know if they're gonna hold up. But then again, it could be introduce a whole new younger generation into it. Like you're not going to be getting older people play it, even though it's a game that will be most likely rated R. It's going to be played by kids. Um, yeah, I don't know how I feel about it, but Epic Games did give out Saints Row 3 remastered, but well, I think it's just a texture upgrade or something. Um, but they did that a week ago on Epic Games, so like, well, when the announcement happened, you could pick up Saints Row 3, or Saints Row the Third, sorry, for free. Yeah, yeah, I don't know. I literally don't even have words for it. I don't know how I feel about like I get the thing is if they were gonna like reboot it, like or like well is it a reboot or is
It's
it
a
a
reboot.
remake?
It's a reboot.
Okay, if it's a reboot, then I'm down for that because they need to do something different. It's like if they had to do a fifth or sixth Saints Row game, the universe that they've currently built, it was awesome, but now it's like kind of cliched, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or like a bit boring, a bit dull. Like no, I would like a reboot if they just do it from the ground up.
Yeah.
Literally just make their own version of GTA, but wacky and
Yeah.
funny and, explicit as well. That could work.
Okay. Deathloop, they had a final preview. This is actually coming out pretty soon, September 14th, so less than 2 weeks. You remember, it's that weird thing where it's going to be a PS5 timed exclusive, even though it's coming out from Bethesda, which is owned by Microsoft and Xbox now, but it was a contract and deal that was signed in place before, so they have to honor that. What's interesting is also it's a PC on the PC. Now, my question is, and I'm sure it's written somewhere, is it coming to Game Pass on PC? Like, I'm wondering how the
I'm assuming because like currently right now on Xbox Game Pass or PC, the most played game, which is usually a Halo game, has been both of them are Forza games. Like right now they're both Forza. I mean, damn it! I literally wish I could click on it and show you, but I reformatted my PC. I gotta download it all. But yeah. I mean, that would be smart too, because right now, like, it's the most played game on Xbox Game Pass for PC is Forza, is the previous Forza, as well as the one before that.
Oh, I'm talking about Deathloop. I'm talking about Deathloop.
Oh, you're talking about Deathloop. Oh,
Yeah.
I thought you meant Horizon 5. Okay, never mind.
No.
I'm out of the loop.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, Deathloop.
So it's coming out on PS5 exclusively for consoles, but it's also coming out with PC. So that's why I'm wondering, is it going to be on Game Pass for PC, even though it's not coming out on Xbox because of the contract with Sony
I don't think it would be on Game Pass for PC.
Yeah.
Man. Well, look, I think that you got to wait because I think the timed exclusive thing is what 6 months. I think after 6 months, it's highly likely to see it on Xbox Game Pass.
Yeah, mostly. Well, yeah.
Wait that 6 months.
If you're following Microsoft and Xbox plan with Game Pass, then it definitely will be on Game Pass once
but
it comes
most
out.
likely it's either going to be their day one or you have to wait 6 months. You know.
Yeah. We'll
But,
see.
I doubt it will be day one because it literally like it defeats the purpose. Like,
Yeah.
well, it doesn't defeat the purpose, but it would hurt the exclusive on the PS5 if you could play it on PC on Game Pass for free. You know, well, not for free, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Borderline free.
Borderline free. Yeah.
Yeah.
Forza Horizon 5 that you were talking about, they just showed some cool clips. They
I'm actually so excited for this. Like, the closer we get to the release date, the more.
Yeah.
And I'm
I
not.
think
a-
we
I'm
did-
not a
I
big
think we-
ra-
we-
I'm not
we
a big
did-
racing guy.
Yeah,
but
I
this
think we
looks
did
fun.
talk about this last time because this came out during the Xbox stream. Remember?
Yeah, that's right.
What else did we got? Dying Light 2 we talked about. Oh, this one I don't know if we talked. Did we talk about the Xbox Cloud Gaming Service coming to Xbox Series X and S and Xbox One this holiday?
Well, we mentioned it, but we didn't talk about it because I don't think there was much news about it. But we did mention it. Yeah, xCloud. We talked about it.
Yeah,
It was, And I still remember looking at you and being like, Dennis, you still haven't tried it on your phone.
No.
Still haven't
I'm
tried
not a
xCloud
mobile.
yet.
That's the thing. I'm not a mobile gamer. Like if I'm not
Oh
playing.
no. Hey, do you maybe like out of curiosity because it's one of those things where you may as well try to test it out. But what I would do is because I wouldn't really want to play on my mobile phone. But I mean, I don't have one. But if I had an iPad or any kind of tablet, I would like.
I
That,
do
you know?
have a tablet, and it's definitely more interesting to play on that. I'm just not, especially with the pandemic. Like, where am I going? You know what I mean? So it's very. I just don't.
Yeah.
I like playing from my computer or playing in front of my TV.
You have an Xbox One controller, right?
Yes, I do.
I was going to say, just for the sake of testing, link that up to your iPad sometime and try out the xCloud, see what it's like.
Yeah. I don't have an iPad though. I have a Samsung
Or
Galaxy
well, yeah,
S
your tablet. Yeah.
7 tab or whatever it's
Oh,
called.
nice.
But what's interesting about this is like if you think about it, like at first I heard okay XCloud for my console. I'm like, what's the point of that? Then I kind of thought about it more because remember, like if you have your console, you can download any game off Game Pass and then play it. But what it is good for is if you decide that you want to play something and you don't want to spend the time to download like the entire thing. Let's say something's 20, 30, 50, whatever gigs and install it and all that stuff. And you just want to try it out. And maybe if you play it and then you think, okay, this is a good game, then you download it and then, play it then. But you want to see if something's worth it.
Yeah.
Because honestly,
I think it's also worth it for like, obviously for space saving, but space saving in the sense of like, say for instance, you've got your 100 gig Warzone freaking game on there. You've got Fortnite, Apex Legends. Well, you've got your dedicated multiplayer games that you probably play all the time, right? Now you're not going to want to delete that just to put on like maybe a story mode game or something, a game that doesn't really need that much performance, as like in the sense of like a competitive esport game would need, your performance. I lost my train of thought.
Well, basically, if you like, you don't have to worry if like there's drop frames or something. You know what I mean? Like lag because you're not competing against someone else.
But if your hard drive is filled up and you want to try out like, I don't know, like okay, maybe not like a bit AAA type like title or well then again we haven't seen it. Maybe it does run smooth.
We got to
RPG,
see
like AAA's. We got to see how smooth it runs. But for me, right off the bat, I see the use of this for indie games. Really, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Look, downloading like a 2 gig indie game. Yeah, it'll probably take you a couple minutes, or you can just click on the button and it's on and it's there. It's just
something.
boom, it's there,
Honestly, something
it,
like 12 minutes, which you and me both played and finished. Which we'll do a spoiler review at some point. That'd be perfect for cloud gaming, right?
Dude, well, you had to bring that up, and no, without saying any spoilers. I did not expect it to go. I did not expect it to go down the way it went down. But we'll leave that for the review.
Yeah.
I really didn't expect that.
Yeah. April O'Neil is a playable character in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge, which is kind of cool. Is Splinter a playable character in that game? I don't remember. I mean, obviously the Turtles are.
There's a couple. I knew about the Metroid Dread. They announced that. There's a couple of these things that I don't really know much about, even like this Giants Uprising. Yeah, or Jet the Far Shore.
Yeah, there's a bunch of things announced at games.
A couple new things that I haven't heard about, or like maybe they have spoken about, but
the Elden Ring stuff. I don't know if you like. I listened to some of the videos of people who actually got to watch. They didn't get to play. They watched 15 minutes of gameplay, and they just said, obviously, it's from software, and so annoying they have to say that. Who obviously is well known for their Souls games and the Secure game, and so this game is in that vein. But they said it's more RPG tilted than the other ones. I mean, obviously you're gonna get the intense action combat, and I don't know how hard it's gonna be. Yeah.
You're still gonna get that Souls combat, but you'll have your skill tree. You'll probably have like a pretty in-depth skill tree.
But and they seem to want to go. They're leaning more into the story, more into kind of the RPG element, and they start giving more choice and freedom in the game and how you want to approach stuff, unlike some of the Souls games. So, this game is starting to look really, really good, and it
looks like one of those games where you just find yourself immersed. Before you know it, like after the first couple of fights, you feel like you're fighting for your actual life. At least that's how it felt the first time I played any type of Souls-like game. The first time you play, like you meet your first like creep, like the weakest enemy in the entire game, and it feels like it's its own little boss battle for the first time because it's the first time you're getting used to the mechanics and stuff. Yeah. So it looks like that game where you're gonna get immersed. I hope that they do a lot of what the guy, I forget the guy's name who's doing this, but what he's more well known for is telling story through scenery, if you will, or like through setting, rather than like directly being like, hey, blah, 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 this happened. It's more just like you're looking around and you're kind of piecing things together where it's like, oh, wow, what's that? And you walk up to it and you'll read something on the ground or whatever, That's that's what I like about it. It's the sometimes people with RPGs they just throw so much exposition at you, and then you're there for like so much dialogue, and it's like you don't need dialogue a lot of the time to tell a story. You don't. I mean, it's good, but you don't really need dialogue to tell a story, and that's what I like about this game is that it's gonna. It seems like I feel like they're gonna catch that nice in between, you know.
Hmm.
Um, where they don't tell you too much, so you can still figure out the story for yourself, but at the same time, like there's loads of story wherever you look, you know.
Yeah, it's coming out fairly soon. It's
Mm-hmm.
weird. This game was something that was kind of announced a long time ago, and we didn't hear anything about it. And then kind of starting last year, they're like, "Oh, okay, here's some stuff. And now it's coming out January 21st, 2022. I mean, I hate to jinx it, but like, are they gonna delay it? I mean, right now, yes, that's not that far away. That's less than 6 months away. Like. And there's no kind of push to make it in time for the holiday season because there's after. So I'm wondering if at some point it might get delayed. I mean, what do you think about
Yeah.
that release date?
When's the release date?
January 21st, 2022, which is
That's kind of around the corner, more or less, if you think
it's
about it.
4 months from
I
now, I think, right? 4 months. Yeah,
yeah,
less than 5 months.
I want to, Dennis. I don't know why. On a whim, I want to believe that there won't be any. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like if I was a gambling man and this is blackjack and you're saying and I got to hit or stay, like I think I'm gonna stay. I don't like
All right.
I think the game will come out when they say it comes out,
Okay.
only because they have worked on it for so long.
Yeah.
But it's like at the same time, we're so desensitized to delays. Like if a delay did happen, we're not gonna like here's the thing, there'd be outrage, but also people ultimately won't really care
Everyone
that much, you
outraged.
know?
People outraged over everything. I mean,
Over
tons of.
everything, over nothing sometimes, you
I mean,
know?
a lot of movies are getting delayed. Do you hear like Top Gun? The next Top Gun got delayed. Mission
Yeah,
Impossible
and
got
they've been
delayed.
working on they've been in production for Top Gun for a while.
Yeah, but I think it's a
like
money. I think it's a money thing versus like a
yeah.
hey, we're because remember Top Gun was supposed to come out I think last year. I think it's done. It's just how are they going to
Probably
maximize their
post-production,
money?
yeah.
Well, how are they going to maximize their
Yeah.
money if the Delta variants are around and you're talking about other variants that are they're coming around? We don't know. Like that's the whole thing with Shang-Chi is that it's coming out during a time where people are still hesitant to go out. It's still kind of not a big risk, but not as big a risk as last year because now we have vaccines here. But going, to the movie theater.
I don't know. I don't know
So-
how financially it worked out for Free Guy, but Free Guy decided to not. I mean, there's no digital version of Free
Yeah.
Guy anywhere. The only way you can watch Free Guy right now is in cinema,
Mhm.
and I don't know how that's panned out for them in terms of box office, but I will say it got me out of the house. Like I was like usually I would be like, okay, I'm just gonna wait a bit, and then I know the movie's gonna be on some subscription service like Netflix or HBO or something. But with this, I was like, I want to watch the movie. And it seems like if I'm gonna wait for a subscription service, it seems like I'm gonna wait for a long time, or I'm gonna have to wait
Well,
for it to come out to
that's
rent or
that's the
something.
interesting thing about Shang-Chi is that it's coming out in 30 days, so it's not that long because they want to give kind of a little push, like, hey, if you want to see it first, go to the theater, and then 30 days later, if you're hesitant, then you can rent it.
Yeah, there are certain movies that I just wouldn't not watch at a cinema. Like, yeah, I know people are hesitant and things like that, but like certain like high big budget like cinematic movies,
Mhm.
like Marvel films, just are better in a cinema. Some movies are designed or filmed in a way that it's just
Yes.
more enjoyable to watch
It.
in a
I,
cinema,
I mean, honestly, even because with Shang-Chi, I've watched it 3 times on different screens, and last night was on IMAX, and even that made a difference seeing it on the biggest
Mhm.
screen possible versus even on the big
I
screen.
think people have
before.
forgotten how amazing that experience is because a lot
Yeah.
of us who aren't going to the cinema anymore, not that this is too much gaming related, but still, it, I think a lot of us like. I'll be honest, because when I went to the cinema, I was like, "This is great. Why have
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. Look, then again, like I went in the middle of the week on like 11 o'clock in the morning. I didn't want anyone to be there because I'm still paranoid. You know, I want to social distance.
I
And
mean, our
I was like
theater
the
was
only person in the
packed.
cinema. I had a great.
I mean, our theater was packed, but I mean, we're all wearing masks, and I'm vaccinated, so and I'm
Mm.
hoping
Uh,
most people are. So
I'm signed up, by the way. I think I said this last time. We just vaccines finally
uh,
available out here to
okay,
18 to
that's good.
35.
That's great.
So I finally qualify. I can finally get it. It's
I
the
was
same one
also
as you,
I was also
Pfizer.
fortunate. I was fortunate that there was no one to the left or right of me either, which
Oh,
was
that's
interesting
nice.
because
Yeah.
when I bought it, they had like it was people bought those seats. They just didn't show
Oh,
up.
wow. I assumed they would have like, or maybe they just show that they were bought so that people can't book there. Because like I would
No, no, no.
imagine like for social distancing, every second seat should be
Yeah,
like empty. You know.
I saw plenty of people like sit next to each other, so I
Oh,
don't think that was. I think people bought it and then didn't show up. With
that's
Game Pass
unfortunate.
or not Game Pass. Game. So I'm getting so confused now with Game Pass. AMC A List, which is basically Game Pass for movie theaters. So you're not really losing money if you don't show up. You just lose the ability to see one movie that particular week. So, anyways, let's move back to games. Elden Ring, yeah, looking forward to that.
Just because we glossed over it, let me quickly go back to it. The this Midnight Suns gameplay,
mhm.
it looks pretty good.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing, these types of games, they usually don't make like high resolution character models because it's an isometric view.
Yeah.
You know, it's the same thing we experienced with The Ascent. Like games like that don't usually have high resolution player models because, why? You're not
Mhm.
going to see most of them half the time. But these look really, really good. I honestly was when I heard it was that type of game, I was really expecting it to like not look that good, not look bad, but like just look kind of like like whatever, like not
Mhm.
have the most intense textures, but it looks good. It also looks like you get to actually kind of like zoom in on the camera, get yourself in there rather than being stuck to that isometric view.
Mhm.
Um, but that looks quite cool.
Speaking of Midnight Suns, our boy Caboose, he is going to be an official, I think, content creator for that game.
Oh hell yeah!
So if people are not subscribed to Caboose's channel, check his thing out, and he's gonna have a lot of cool stuff from that game.
Yeah, I was watching one of his videos lately and it kind of blew up. It popped up on my trending. I was so happy for him.
Which one was it?
It was
Oh,
literally a clip.
was it? I think it was the Avengers
Oh,
Wakanda thing, right? The Black Panther.
the one, yeah, it was Black Panther, but it was can Black Panther pick up Thor's hammer?
Oh
It was
yes,
just like
yes, that
it was
one. I
like a
remember.
20 it was like such a like it
Yes,
was like a minute long clip.
I watched that too as
I
well.
saw that too. Yeah, that was
Yeah.
quite cool.
Speaking of Halo Infinite, the multiplayer. I know we got the release date. The
Mm.
multiplayer trailer. Did you see that?
The multiplayer trailer.
Yes.
Well, I watched a lot of the
The trailer, it has no gameplay. It's basically a
There's a
city that's been.
story?
Yeah.
I guess it's backstory.
Yeah.
Yo, this looks great though. Talk about quality. Wow.
It's
I want a movie like
this
this.
girl in a hoodie that's kind of like being tracked down by the Covenant, and then kind of basically her how she got involved, basically, and how she became a Spartan, and how she's
I'm
like
still just
training recruits.
flabbergasted by how good that freaking clip looked, man. That was intense. Give me a movie like that. Hell, give me a show like that. That's
Yeah.
those were sick. That was pleasurable.
Yeah.
That was
So
eye candy, man. Good CGI.
yeah, and then
Um,
also on a side note, got the hardcores excited, which was they announced a limited edition Halo themed Xbox Series X and Elite
and it looks
controller.
good.
Yeah, like
It looks so good.
people are going
It
nuts.
looks so good.
That's the one thing I don't know why Sony and PlayStation aren't taking advantage of. They don't seem to want to do these customizable
The custom even and then whenever someone comes up with a customizable plate, they shut that website down or they shut down the people who do it. You know what I mean? Because they're gonna want to sell it themselves, but then they need to freaking move on it and do something about it. You know, dude, I can't like look. I actually hate. I've always no hate's a strong word. I've always disliked whenever they release like a special edition console that's linked to a game and it like has these like I don't mind like there's certain special editions that like
Mhm.
I actually think were cool in the past. Like PlayStation 4 had a 20th anniversary model where they came out with like the classic like
Mhm.
gray of the original PlayStation color. You know, that like old school gray, the control. I love that. But I hate it when they like plaster the PlayStation with like Call of Duty, this character, and like we got all these logos, and I usually hate it. It's like so obnoxious because it's like, yeah, like it'll look cool for like a year, and then
Yeah.
5 years later, you're gonna be like, what was that game again, or
Yeah.
what was the? I literally have a Nintendo Switch that is the Monster Hunter Rise edition, which looks sick, but at the same time, it's like I would have like I at the end of the day, like when it comes down to like having something fit into your living room, you don't want it to stand out too much. This thing does stand out, but it looks thick. There's something low key about it
also, if
too,
you
you
look
know?
at it, it doesn't. The way it's designed, it's a Halo kind of aesthetic, but it's not like Master Chief is plastered on the actual.
Yeah, and the logos aren't plastered on there. It's not like
No,
it doesn't look like it doesn't look like a sponsored freaking product, which they usually
no,
do, you know?
no. It's kind of
There's
more
been a
like here's the
petition.
design.
There's been a petition going around. People really want this controller to not just be exclusive, because currently I believe the
Yeah,
controller is exclusive to the console.
It's a
Yeah.
limited. No. You can buy the controller separate, but it's still limited. It's $200. I mean,
Oh yeah, but it's still limited. Yeah, you're right.
it's limited, but it's $200, which so
I think, yeah.
I'm not a hardcore gamer in
I
that
think
way.
that's what the
so
petition was then. I think
Yeah.
people just because I'm not gonna lie, it just
it's
looks
sick.
good.
It looks great. It
good,
looks great.
yeah.
If it was like not a Elite controller and it was just a regular controller for a regular controller price, or maybe a little bit above regular controller price, I'd buy it. I don't have no need for Elite controller, so I'm not gonna spend the $200 for it. But in terms
The
and
detail
this
on
one
the back as well is so good.
and this controller looks cool without. It's not like I said. There's no Master Chief picture on there or whatever. It's Master Chief's colors and design aesthetic. But it just, you know what it looks like? It just looks like it's a part of Master Chief, right? Like the Spartan armor. So I don't know. It looks sick.
Man, I love that. Like I definitely want to
Okay.
get one
Now I'm
just
looking
for PC gaming.
Okay, now I'm looking at it. So this controller for 200 is different than the controller that you get from the Elite, than the limited edition console. So limited edition console has like the gray and black.
Yeah, it has the gray. That's the one that
they,
people want. Yeah.
They have their own controller that fits that aesthetic. Then they have a separate one,
Which is more like Master Chief, kind of his
Yes.
colors.
Yes.
More like golden, kind of golden green. Emerald, I guess, is the color. I don't know if that is
Yeah.
a color, but it's very emerald.
So the limited,
Um,
actually, you know what? I wonder if this maybe that the Elite controller may not be limited.
The Elite one looks good too. This Master Chief looking one looks good
No,
too.
still,
But like,
it still says limited edition. Out of stock. I'm looking at it
Yeah.
right now. Release date November 15th. One controller
already
per
out of stock.
customer. Already out of stock. That one is 200. So the one that comes with console is not an Elite controller. It's just a regular controller.
it's just a regular one.
Yeah, just
Okay,
designed
that'll-
with that.
That could
aesthetic.
also very well be why people petitioned for it, because they want a sick looking controller for $60. You know,
Well.
or maybe pay $80 for it. But like,
Yeah.
yeah, because $200 is a bit hefty for something that look. It's that's the price you're gonna pay for an Elite controller. Nonetheless, you know what I mean.
It's
And if you just want a
100.
cool looking controller.
It's $100 away from the Quest. You could buy Quest 2.
Literally, yeah. You're right. It's $100 away from being able to get the Quest 2 at the cheaper entry level.
It's the same price as a Switch Lite. You could buy Switch Lite for that price. You know what I mean? Like I said,
Yeah.
design, awesome. All for me. Elite controller, I have no use for it, so I'm not paying the extra.
Yeah, that's very FPS. If I was still playing Apex on console, I would. I'm so glad that they actually did it. We spoke about it like almost a year ago, but Sony released instead of, they also have their, I don't know if they have a Pro controller. I think they do, but that doesn't matter because they released an adapter that you can plug onto your PS4 controller, and it adds 2 back buttons, which I always loved. So it's like instead of paying $200 for a Pro controller, you just pay like an extra $20 for the attachment to give you the extra buttons. You know, I always thought that was smart. It just doesn't look that good, but yeah, I would if I was still playing like FPS games on console, I would definitely get some sort of Elite controller. Those extra buttons are really helpful.
Yeah. All right. So moving on from Gamescom stuff is Deadspace remake. They had a tech demo that showed off kind of the new graphics, the environment, and lighting. It's about 10 minutes long, the video. You can check it out, but it's also like the developers talking about it, being interviewed and talking about different technical specs, and they comparing it to the original, just showing off how the lighting and environment are much improved. So kind of looking at all the work that's kind of been.
This doesn't look like there's ray tracing though, you know. Which I mean, they never said that there would be, but like
Yeah.
I assumed with a game like Dead Space, ray tracing in Dead Space would just add so much extra levels of creepiness, you know,
Mhm.
and fear. It does look good though, but I'm not really blown away by the lighting. I'm pretty happy with the character model. Like
I mean,
they captured Isaac.
it does say
Yeah,
it's an early pre-production development build, so
yeah.
perhaps they will work on that later. But yeah, it looks
I mean, yeah,
good.
when they do the comparisons compared to like the original, it's night and day. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah. I mean, that was what, 2 generations ago that game.
Yeah,
It
it was
was
a long time
yeah.
ago.
So, um, anything else about the Dead Space remake? Like I said, it's
No, I'm just excited for it. I
okay.
don't think co-op came to Dead Space until Dead Space 2, so
Yeah,
I don't think there's not going to be co-op, but that's all right, you
yeah.
know. If this is successful, they'll probably do 2 and 3. 2
Mhm.
was my favorite, you know. That was the one I fondly enjoy.
Yeah. All right. Next thing I've got is Resident Evil. Welcome to Raccoon City photos. There's so much Resident Evil stuff now. I'm getting confused as to what is
Mm.
what.
Like, what's
'Cause
the TV show? What's
well,
the game?
you
What's
have
the
like
movies? What's the
there's
yeah?
an animated Netflix series. Now we have this, and this Resident Evil movie has nothing to do with the previous franchise. This is kind of like a reboot, and then this, visually looks like the original game, and it's kind of following more along that. I mean, the thing is with these photos is photos from movie sets they never do the movie justice.
Yeah. It
You,
looks like there's one or two stills here, like from the actual. Like one of these looks like it's an actual still taken
uh-huh.
from the not the set, but like from the actual footage that they're filming.
Yeah.
Not the first photo, but the second photo they show off. That looks like it's actually a frame taken out of what they filmed.
Yeah, that looks better than the kind of whenever they do these kind of publicity photos or on-set
Yeah.
photograph. It has
Look, I mean,
nothing.
yeah. Look at that first photo. It looks like two people posing in an escape hotel. You know, at like in an escape room or
Yeah,
something.
I
Yeah. No,
always
that
think
that
those type of
lighting.
ones are like they actually like hurt the movie than they do help it. I
Mm.
know they want to be like, hey, I want to show off the whole costume and the environment. It's like, no, man, make it cinematic, make it look cool, make it.
It literally hurt Monster Hunter, man. When they like okay, besides the fact that when they released footage, everyone saw these Marines and they're like, "Oh, this movie's gonna suck." And then
Uh-huh.
you watch the movie and the Marines are in it for like 5 minutes.
Mhm.
Half the time it's actual Monster Hunter World stuff, which is cool. But yeah, like the photos. It's not that it's that the photos look bad as well. And then, like you said, it makes you assume the film grain's gonna look bad or the film, because you're
Mhm.
not seeing it through the lens that the DP or the director is seeing it.
Yeah. Another thing up here is Sifu, the kung fu game, which is
I'm so
coming
stoked
out.
for this,
Yeah, they
man.
have a release date because I think remember they wasn't supposed to come out this year and they delayed it.
I think
Uh,
it was supposed to come out like end of this year, November, December, you
yeah,
know?
then they delayed it. Also, not a huge delay. February release date, February 22nd. Consoles and
The
PC.
game's also a lot cheaper than I thought.
Yeah,
Like I don't know what the price is over there, but with regional pricing here, last time I checked for the pre-orders, it was actually really, really cheap.
yeah,
It was like maybe like 20 or $25.
yeah. Gonna check that out. So we'll see. The other thing, New World open beta announcement
Mm.
launching
I
actually
really don't want to miss this one.
in a few days. Actually, in less than a week, September
Yeah,
9th.
I missed the last open beta they did,
Yeah.
so I want to try to get in on this one. Maybe I can talk about it. Look, from everything I saw, this game look I can't wait for this game because this game looks like it's really, really fun. And it's almost not even an MMO, which
Hmm.
it is an MMO, but it's like almost not because it's so for me it's like it has enough differences to set it apart from a traditional MMO,
Hmm.
which I like a traditional MMO because there's something very rewarding about doing quick missions. It kind of fills that dopamine, you know what I mean? But with this, there's actual combat. Like most MMOs is you click a button, you click on the target, and you just keep spamming your ability and it hits them. With this, you actually got to aim. You know what I mean? like which is what I assumed. What the Elder Scrolls Online was going to be. I assumed I assumed the Elder Scrolls Online was going to be like, hey, you actually have to aim, but instead it was just like any other MMO where it's like, nope, just stand close to them and click buttons, you know.
Well,
Which,
that's like when
yeah.
you want that real tabletop RPG experience where you're rolling the you know what I mean? Versus like, okay, this is more...
And then every now and then you move yourself because they're doing some big attack.
Yeah.
But this, it's good, you know. And they've got like the 20v20 mode, you know, where it's like 20 people against 20 people. But then you don't even have to fight if you don't want to, because you can still contribute to your team winning by harvesting materials or destroying NPC monsters or whatever. You know what I mean? Which is I think that's so cool. The game's kind of designed for you to play it in a way however you want to play it, which is what I like.
Yeah. And then it's coming out actually on September 28th. So
yeah. It's going to be super popular because it was raved about by every single streamer.
Yeah, and also people were you know, Amazon hasn't had the best track record so far in the gaming world. And you know, this coming out and I mean, kind of unfairly, you kind of lump anything that Google and Amazon do. It's like, okay, this is indicative of what a non-gaming entity does. So it's just like, there hasn't been good buzz about, you know, anything that's not coming from Microsoft, Nintendo, or Sony in terms of in those realms. And so that's kind of, but it's getting a lot of good buzz. Which is interesting. It's not like exclusive to the Luna platform. It's, you know, it's going to be on PC and it's going to be on console. Is it going to be on consoles?
Yeah. I think it probably will be eventually.
Yeah. So
because the way the game works is that it can easily be played on a controller compared to other MMOs. I think you know, it's definitely a lot easier. You know, it most probably will eventually come out to consoles. You know, I don't know why. I don't know if it's going to be launched on console. You know, I know it's going to be straight on PC, but I don't know if it'll take a while to get on console or if they're ready for console. I don't know anything about that, but it's one of those things where it's easy to do. You know, World of Warcraft you could never put on a console. There's way too many icons. You know, Final Fantasy 14 online found a way for you to be able to take, like, have you ever played World of Warcraft or any MMO and you've seen like the taskbar and there's just the bar at the bottom is just so many abilities. So the way Final Fantasy 14, they were smart. The way they did it was basically like you'd have 10. It would be 10 buttons, right? There'd be your taskbar at the bottom of all your abilities. There'd only be 10 there. There's more. There's like 30 or 40 or 50 or whatever, but there's 10 there. And then the 5 on the right would be your like triangle, square, circle, X button, and the ones on the left would be your left, up, right, and down buttons. And then, because you have more icons, what they do is you click L1 and R1 to switch through your taskbars, which was smart. So like technically using that like idea, you could make any MMO work on.
And can you map? Can you map your own? You know what I mean?
Yeah. You can map your own. Like if you want your own special. When I play on, because I play on a controller just for fun, even though I play on PC, and I have like all my custom mounts and like cool stuff like that mapped to like a different thing, just so I can show off. But yeah, I think so. If it's just going to be successful. This is going to be one. I'm not even joking about this. I don't think that this is an over exaggeration. I think 5 years from now, people will have forgotten all about World of Warcraft because Blizzard's just going down into the dumps, and it's going to be about like a year ago. At the moment, the top MMO is Final Fantasy 14, in my opinion. But like a year or two ago, it was very much like if people spoke about MMOs, they'd be like, Final Fantasy 14 or World of Warcraft. There was a time people would say Guild Wars, but people have forgotten about that. But in like 5 years from now, it's going to be New World and Final Fantasy. No one's going to be... Well, you get the Elder Scrolls too. I can't like... That's a pretty big community itself too. But I think New World's going to be like... They're going to be one of the top dogs, you know? For sure.
Yeah, I think Bethesda had thought Fallout 76 was gonna kind of go there, but it did too many launch.
Well, they kind of like Bethesda still had success with the Elder Scrolls Online. Yeah, that has it might not be as big or booming as Final Fantasy 14 or World of Warcraft for that matter, but it has a very committed community and people love that game. The people that do play it.
To backtrack a little bit, the Xbox Elite Series 2 controller is on sale. The non-Halo version. It's
just the normal one.
regular price is 180. Right now, you can get for less than 160. So
That's not too bad.
yeah.
Saving money is always important, you know.
Yeah. So if you're interested in it, you know, the Elite controller, man, that headset, the wireless headset, is just in and out of stock, man. That thing's popular. The one that we talked about.
Oh,
the,
yeah.
The $100 wireless one. That kind of mimics the Surface headphones, but like it's a cheaper price and has a microphone.
Yeah. I just went back to a lot of this. I just went back to the Gamescom announcements because there's a couple we didn't talk about.
Okay, go for it.
There's like none of these are worth mentioning, but it's well, they could be. That's a rude thing for me to say, but I'm looking at this Severed Steel because I was interested in it because the main character looks like a Valorant agent.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what the hell's going on. There's super fast-paced shooting going on. But yeah, a couple games that like I've got no idea about. Like Small Soldiers is getting a freaking an FPS game or a shooter game. Like they're making a Small Soldiers inspired shooter game, Hypercharge.
Yeah, it's interesting.
It's like
Call-
yeah, you're like toys, but that is actually quite interesting.
Call of
Anyways,
Duty
yeah.
Vanguard. I think they had some like campaign footage as well.
I feel like there's not a lot of hype
There's
around
no.
this.
That's what I wanted to say. Like for a Call of Duty game, like people have.
Because we even mentioned it like a week ago, and like I think I even said like a week ago, like we got they've finally given us more details about it now. But a week ago, we knew about the announcement, and like I said, I have a lot of friends who work in gaming journalism as well, and nobody was talking about it, and it's like I don't think it's bad. I think do you think people have hit that point where they're just maybe finally bored of Call of Duty every year, getting like a new one?
I'll be honest with you, I don't like games every year. I mean, obviously with sports games, you got to do that. I'm not a fan of their pricing system because of what they're offering the next season or next year.
I agree.
But in general, I don't want Assassin's Creed game every year. I don't want a Call of Duty game every year. I don't want even my favorite franchises. Like I know, we all know what it takes to make a good game. One of my favorite games of all time is Red Dead Redemption 2, and that was like what 8 years in the making. Like, like you're not delivering that type of quality year over year. You're taking an existing game engine and then you're just upgrading this and that and just changing this and that, and it's not special anymore. And the same thing with movies. Even my favorite like movies franchise or whatever, do I want to see, like I just saw Shang-Chi, loved it. I honestly a next one next year, what does that mean? That means that it would be of poorer quality, and one, I don't want it, and two, they're not going to do that. So I just don't. Not to say this movie is not
at
a
least
good.
Wait 2 or 3 years,
Yeah, not to say this movie
Marvel
sucks.
does do that with their movies though. Like you're not going to get a Shang-Chi sequel for fucking 3 or 4 years.
Yes, yeah.
Like it would be nice to get one in a year, but we're not going to get one for like 4 or 5 years.
And I'm not saying this game isn't good. I'm just saying in general, I feel like gaming
it's the burnout.
should. Yeah,
it's the burnout, man. Like the thing is like people are still playing Call of Duty right now. And like I mean, they're excited about it, but it's like I think people playing Call of Duty right now, whatever they're playing on, whether it's the latest one or even like Call of Duty, like the 2 Call of Duties ago, they're still happy with that. You know what I mean?
So,
like, yeah.
I mean, Vanguard, I think it's a different setting. It's a more historical setting.
Look, I'll always play the games because I do enjoy their story modes, but I just can't justify that price for playing like the story mode for like 2 days, finishing it, and then. Well, like you'll play the multiplayer, but the multiplayer is never going to be that different. And when it is different, then you hate it because it's like this isn't Call of Duty. I don't want to like. Why am I jumping around with rocket pads and stuff? Like, give me Call of Duty, So they're in a tough spot, but I think like literally, I haven't even played the previous Call of Duty. I still want to play Call of Duty
in a while.
I want to play Call of Duty Modern Warfare, the reboot. Not the. I do love the original, but like the reboot that came out like 2 Call of Duties ago. I still want to play that. Yeah. It's yeah, I don't know, man. They're pumping out too many Call of Duty games, and it's like one of those things where it was always one of those things that was mentioned in the 2000s as well. Like every video game magazine was like, oh, it's another Call of Duty. What's different about it this time? You know what I mean? But if I was them, I would just focus on Warzone and bring out like a really good Call of Duty every 2 years instead of every year. You know,
Yeah, that's what they're doing
like,
with Assassin's Creed. And, they're starting to
and it's been
burn people.
working.
Yeah,
We've been getting quality. You know,
yeah.
I will say though, it's interesting having played Assassin's Creed Valhalla and Assassin's Creed Odyssey. I prefer Odyssey, mainly because of the setting. There are things that are obviously superior in Valhalla because it's the latest game, but at the end of the day, both of the games are of such good quality. The only thing that matters is what do you want to be, a Viking or like what's the term? Like a Greek warrior. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's it. They're both excellent games. It just depends what you want. The Viking setting wasn't doing it for me. I literally got back into Assassin's Creed Odyssey after I played Valhalla because I was craving that kind of gameplay.
I did not make the. They just launched a new flight for Halo Infinite. I did not make the cut. I just checked my Halo Waypoint
Oh,
account.
what's this? What do you mean?
They have a new flight, new beta.
I see what you mean.
From today to September 13th. I did not make the cut. No.
Oh, that's unfortunate. That is
No.
unfortunate. But hey, at least we're getting it in like a few months, you know.
Um, this is kind of a side note. When people are asking about Starfield on PS5, they're like, "This is not a timed exclusive. This is Xbox/PC only. There's no." We've speculated that maybe Elder Scrolls 5 will be different, but as far as Starfield's concerned, they're like, absolutely not. It's Xbox console. That's it. So that clears that up. I think that's it on my end. You have anything that you wanted to talk about?
A couple small things.
Cool.
One of them are really small, but for me it's a big thing. We'll start with this because I just recently got myself a Nintendo Switch, and you know what? The very first day I was on the Nintendo Switch, I bought myself a couple games for it because obviously you need to play games on. You got no games. What's the point? And I was like, you know what? It's a Nintendo Switch. I want to play some old game. I want to play some old Game Boy games. I automatically assumed you could, and I was wrong. You can't. But apparently they've just announced that they're planning on bringing Game Boy Color games to the Nintendo Switch.
That's cool.
Hopefully they'll bring Nintendo DS games as well. Because look, the Nintendo Switch is a touchscreen. The Nintendo DS had a touchscreen. If my cell phone can emulate a Nintendo DS, then freaking a Nintendo Switch should be able to as well. You know.
Mm-hmm.
So it's nice we're getting Game Boy games and Game Boy Color games. I really hope we can get the Game Boy DS games as well at some point. But for me, I think that's quite big. I have, yeah, I was gonna say I have a feeling it's gonna be like a service. Yeah, yeah, it is. Which is cool. It's gonna be like their own little subscription service, which I think they do have for SNES and NES games, like super old school Nintendo. You know.
Mm-hmm.
So I would pay for that 100% for like to play old school Game Boy games and Game Boy Color games. I would easily pay like I don't know what their pricing is gonna be for it, but anything more than $5 and they can go suck it. I'll be honest, because look, if I can emulate it on my phone, then it better be $5 or less a month. You know what I mean? Anything more than that, and it's not going to be worth it. I'm excited about that. Let's see. So I think, oh yeah, we spoke about this 2 weeks ago, but there is been a lot of issues with Twitch in terms of racism and like bots coming like people
Yes. Yeah.
have built bots that can just come into your chat and just spam the N word. And you would think, like I think I said this last podcast as well, you would think it would be easy to just ban the N word, you know? Which of course, I mean, look, if you're a Twitch streamer, you can choose whatever words are banned in your chat. So of course you're gonna ban that word anyways. But the problem is that someone used an AI and they found out that using all the characters available, just like using all keyboards
Yeah.
and letters and everything across the entire world, they could come up with like 50,000 different variations of the N word that would be able to get past that, you know?
I just who's wasting.
So there was
their
a huge boycott.
Yeah.
There was a huge boycott. There was a day where everyone said, listen, we're not going to stream. And if you, as a viewer, want to support, then don't watch Twitch this day.
Mhm.
Nobody used Twitch on this day.
Mhm.
And it had an impact. It had an impact on viewership. I think there was about anywhere between a 5 to 15% drop, which in the grand scheme of things doesn't seem like much, but that can be a lot, you know? That can be like 15% of their viewership in a day. That's quite a fair amount of people, you know? we're like I can't really work out this graph right now, but we are talking about like hundreds and thousands of people. That like that 15% is still like hundreds and thousands of people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, Sad that it's happening. Hopefully Twitch will fix. It's also quite sad because it's like we spoke about this last time as well because I can't fathom how could you possibly block it? Like if some guy can make an AI to come up with like 50,000 versions of it, like
Yeah.
how do you fight this? You know what I mean? Like I mean like obviously people just need to be better. The people that are doing this are trash people, but like I don't feel bad for Twitch because they're lazy in my personal opinion. Like when it comes to their policies and when it comes to trying to clean up their act, they're really lazy and they'll let things get to a point like when things get bad, they let things get really bad because they know that they still make money when things are bad, you know? Like even if someone's doing something illegal on Twitch, they're getting a cut of those donations, you know what I mean? Um, but yeah, so hopefully they do something about it. But yeah, the boycott happened. It went kind of right. Um, so yeah, Riot hired an ex-Netflix executive to develop films, TVs, and animated shows. Um, which I'm not too sure what that means. We know Riot has been working on a League of Legends animated show, and from what I've seen, it looks really cool, like a very unique animation style. You know, um, I wasn't by doing this move. It sounds like they really want to expand their like the Riot cinematic universe. It seems like they
Mm-hmm.
want to kind of create their own version of that. Like, yeah, you can have your League of Legends show, but this leads me to believe we're gonna have a Valorant show one day, and I would love that personally. But I know that that's not everybody. Some people aren't gonna care about it, but the people who are gonna care about it are gonna love it as long as it's good. Well, the thing is, it can't not be bad because when you play Valorant, we have very little backstory on the
Mm-hmm.
characters besides their description. So we would love to know more about that world. And they teased this trailer called Duality a while ago, which was like this little cinematic, and it kind of explains how you're fighting over parallel worlds, which explains why if there's somebody on the enemy team that's the same character as you, it kind of explains in the reality of how there can be more than one person on the same field, if that makes sense. Which is also why like they have these cool lines where it's like they look like us, but are they us? I don't know. Like those are like lines that you hear in the game, you know. Um, but that's a fairly big move. So I'm assuming that they're planning a lot more. Like they're saying films and TV shows, you know. So probably a League of Legends. I think they're gonna do League of Legends
A lot.
movies
A lot of these
and then a Valorant series.
a lot of these companies, gaming companies, are starting up or already have film and TV divisions, and they're
Mm.
just all trying to use their IP for. I mean, that's the thing. It's like if you make a movie nowadays, well, what do you want? You want to spread it out into a video game or a television series or a book or an audio, you know what I mean? Comic book. Like you're just trying to take whatever the IP is and branch it off
Wow.
into so many different ones. And gaming companies are doing that as well. And so it's,
I actually had no idea about this, by the way. Did you watch American Vandal?
no,
It
I
was
did not.
it was hilarious. It was
Uh,
basically making a murderer, but instead it was about like a high school student that like
yeah, I remember
spray
like,
painted penises
yeah, I
everywhere.
remember the buzz about it and like the overall
It
concept,
was
but I,
so the thing is like yeah, what like it's crude humor, but it was filmed really well.
mm-hmm,
Like there was even though it was like who drew the dicks on the cars, there was suspense. You were like you needed to know. You were like who did this? Like even though you're laughing, they did an incredibly good job of like getting you so it's not suspense, but they got you like they had you like dude like I couldn't not binge that show. I had to know what happened. And they did such a good way of doing that, like doing this mockumentary. So I didn't even know this. This is something I'm reading. This must have happened a while ago, but apparently the people who made American Vandal, the creators, they're working on a mockumentary about a fictional League of Legends esports team.
mm-hmm.
And Riot is involved, which I thought Riot would have shut it down, but they're involved. So so it seems like we might even be getting, TV like non-animated TV shows, like just actual like live action stuff that's got to do more with gaming than the actual games, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Which yeah, I'm looking forward to. I didn't even know about that. I'm looking forward to that. That's quite cool.
Yeah.
There's this article. I actually didn't understand that article, so we're gonna skip it. Um, yeah, so I think you mentioned it as well, but this Nickelodeon All Star Brawl thing, the release date seemingly leaks,
Hmm.
which is it's their own version of Smash Bros. or Brawlhalla, depending on what you're more familiar with. Um, and this is what they were saying they were going to add April O'Neil to as well. I think they're also adding April O'Neil to this Nickelodeon All Stars Brawl. I could have read that wrong, actually. I could have very much read that wrong. Anyways, the game is coming out. Wait, what the hell? Where's the release date? Oh, October 5th. It's going to release October 5th. So next month. And it's going to be 2.9 gigs. Are people going to play it? Who knows? It's going to the Nintendo eShop. I'll try it out. That's a bit ballsy, don't you think, to like release a competitor to Smash Bros and then releasing it on the platform that it's exclusive to. Like the reason why Brawlhalla does well is because it's on mobile, it's on PlayStation, it's on Xbox, it's on PC, it's on Steam, Epic, you can get it anywhere, you know what I mean? But like that's I don't know, to try to like compete with Smash Bros and then like decide to only be on the platform that only Smash, like I don't know. Seems like a dumb move, but it's also like I don't know how much Nintendo's involved in it. If Nintendo's super involved in it, it's like who cares? They're earning money either way, you know? Doesn't matter which version you're playing.
Yeah.
And then
but they're very, protective over their
that's true.
platform and their IP, you know what I mean?
What's this? Before we go, this is not this is anime related, which I think anime kind of goes in with gaming sometimes, but they're doing. I'm so disappointed in this.
What is
which
it?
They're doing a live action series of One Piece.
Yeah, I saw didn't they just finish the script or whatever?
Episode 1. Netflix reveals episode 1 title of live action One Piece series. Here's the thing: if it is successful, good for them because they've got like almost 1,000 episodes of content. Like they'll never not have content. But how do you need a budget for this? The main character's ability is literally to stretch, kind of like Mr. Mr. Fantastic. Is that his name? You know what I'm talking about, though, from the Fantastic Four.
Yeah, Mr. Fantastic.
The guy who can stretch. Yeah.
DC is Plastic Man.
Yeah, it's
like whatchamacallit, in Pixar was Elastic Girl.
Yeah, Elastic Girl.
Woman.
Yeah. Like that's a difficult effect to pull off for real. Like look, if some dude has the ability to control fire, that's something you can do in CGI fairly easily and make it look good and real. Smoke effects, particle effects, things like that. But having human skin stretch and like make it look real, that's going to be tricky. Literally, the very main character of the show, all of his moves are going to be so difficult to show off. You know what I mean? Especially compared to other characters, like I said, like his brother who can control fire. That's such an easy. It's a lot easier. Hell, like you have students in college who can do it in like on their laptop in their basement, you know. But yeah, I do not have high hopes for it. I think that was a dumb idea. But because One Piece is rooted in comedy, if they can nail the comedy, I don't think people are going to care about what it looks like. As long as they can nail the funniness of it, you know.
No, there's one thing I forgot, and it was we were supposed to talk about it earlier, but because I had the links, Psychonauts 2.
Dude,
it
thanks
came
for reminding
out.
me.
I have not played it yet, but you have because you're a big fan of this franchise.
Ooh,
how is it?
I'm happy.
Loving it,
Dennis. I'm so happy. It's like, first of all, the game picks up right where it left off, like literally right where it left off. What's nice about this is, first of all, the first game came out and it set itself up for a sequel, which is why for like a good 2 or 3 years after the first game came out, everyone was expecting a sequel because it had like ended on a hell of a cliffhanger, you know what I mean? And then I guess 5 years go by, 6 years go by, and you forget about it. 10 years go by, and you're like, it's a fond memory. You're like, Psychonauts, what a good game. 13 years go by, boom, they announced that they're doing a sequel. And then here you are, God knows how many years later, finally playing the sequel. And my first thought was, shit, I'm going to have to watch a recap video. But then at the same time, I was like, no, hold on. This game came out so much later. Surely they're smart enough to put a recap in the game. You know what I mean? Like, they have to be. And they did, which I loved. I'm happy about that. They throw you kind of into... What I like about this game is a lot of people, when a platformer gets a sequel, it's always like, oh, you've lost all your abilities. You got to start from scratch. With this, they're like, no, here's all the abilities you learned in the last game, and here, you just use them.
Yes,
and
there's new tutorial. Ones, right?
Which I haven't gotten to yet, which I'm so excited about. But like I've only played like the first brain or the first like mind, if you will,
Mm-hmm.
which was so creepy. They actually the game comes with a trigger warning before you play it, specifically for the first level for people who have a phobia of teeth. Because there's levels where the teeth there's just teeth and they look so real.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually nasty. There's like
Mm-hmm.
parts where you're inside a tongue, inside a mouth, and it's
Mm-hmm.
like it looks so real that it's like it's just the way it's the way all the teeth are layered together, almost like puzzle pieces. It creeps people out. It creeps me out. But some people have an actual phobia for it, so they can't play it. Messed around with the settings. The game has an invincibility mode where you can be invincible. The game has a one hit kill mode, so you can
Mm-hmm.
just blast through the story if you will. Won't make the platforming easier for you. You still have to do the platforming, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But
Which is the harder
I'm
part.
so impressed, which is the harder part, and it's just it looks good, Dennis. It
Mm-hmm.
looks so good. I'm so impressed with how it looks. The voice acting, they managed to keep pretty much almost all the original voice actors.
Mm-hmm.
I'm more impressed at I forget his name, but he's one of my favorite voice actors. He also did Invader Zim, a lot of people from my childhood, like Angry Beavers, things like that. But he's still to think that he like almost like 15 or 16 or how many I don't know how many years it's been later to think that he still has the exact same voice is actually crazy. So really, I take my hat off to the lead voice actor on this game. Like I really tip my hat to him. He did a good job. Uh, and yeah, all the platforming is there. It like there's so many things I forgot about. Like when you're inside a brain, like there are like you know when you're with platformers, you get bonus things like oh you found a bonus star. It doesn't really do anything, but you know it's like a rare collectible. In Psychonauts, there's emotional baggage because you're inside people's heads, so you have to find and it's actual baggage that's emotional baggage, and you got to find the tags to it. The game deals with like PTSD, anxiety, a lot of things like that in quite a funny way, but
Mm-hmm.
also in a way that it's like quite relatable for some people, you know, because you're literally delving into their mind and like using all these abilities and stuff and like learning about them. The game's still kind of goofy in a sense. I can't wait to play it more. To be honest, the only reason I haven't played it more since last week is because I'm currently playing it with a friend
Mm-hmm.
who's just like sitting on a couch watching it with me, and they're really invested, so I wouldn't want to play it without them. Um, but man, I'm happy with it. I'm actually like this is a real smile, Dennis. I'm really happy with it. Like it's not an amazing game. It's just that I was so worried. I was so worried that just maybe it would suck,
Mm-hmm.
or like it wouldn't feel right. But they did. It was like play. It was like when I played Crash Bandicoot, the trilogy when they did the remake. I was just also once again blown away. But how they were able to recreate the feeling of the original, but somehow make the gameplay smoother. That's what they did with the Crash Bandicoot. That's what they did with Spyro, and that's what they did with this. Obviously, different studios, but you get my point. Like it feels smooth. It doesn't feel like a different game. It feels like the same game, but just smoother. You know, not graphics, but the actual movement, the way you walk and stuff. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, highly recommended. The nice thing is if you haven't played the original, you don't even have to because it catches you up really quickly. Um, but the original has a different tone. The whole first game is set in a summer camp. Essentially, you're going away on summer camp to like learn how to be a psychonaut and learn to use your brain. And it has this like summer camp, like your other like your fellow campers and stuff. It's all goofy and funny. But in the second game, it's a lot more serious. You're actually a part of this like international psychonaut group who's going around and you're dealing with like James Bond level missions, you know, compared to the first game where it's like, hey, can you reach the other end of camp? You know? So I always recommend people to play the first game, but here's the thing, you you don't have to. If you just want to dive straight into the second game, you can. There's nothing stopping you. They catch you up real quick and you can still have a lot of fun with it.
Oh, first game sounds kind of fun. The whole kind of summer
The
camp
first game is
feel.
actually quite fun, you know.
How many
It
hours was
has
the
a like
first
it has a
game?
wholesome feel.
How many hours was
You
the
could
first game?
you could bust through it in like a day if you didn't sleep and you were like waiting for it, you know what I mean? But a
Mm-hmm.
lot of games were like that around that era, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
That time that like super early 2000s, you know what I mean? Um I want to say like I'm curious. I kind of want to Google look that up quickly. How much the original playtime is because I
Mm-hmm.
feel like I've definitely beaten that game in like I could do it in a day, but then you're like really pushing it. Like
Mm-hmm.
whereas you could finish it in a weekend. It's more realistic to say that you can easily finish it in a weekend.
Mm-hmm.
I think the second game you could possibly also easily finish in a weekend if you really wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
But I've been spacing it apart because some of the stuff when you're a kid dealing with you don't really know what PTSD is.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you do, then that's really unfortunate. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But as an adult, you know what anxiety and PTSD is, and a lot of like the missions I was playing, I was like, this is funny, but at the same time, I need to take a break because I'm thinking about my life now. You
Yeah.
know, it's crazy that a children's game can have that effect on me. But yeah,
Yeah. All right. Cool. Anything else that we've got in this?
no, I think that's about all I've really got. That's worth it.
Cool.
Um, yeah, yeah.
All right. Cool. That's all right. Thanks everyone for watching or listening to this episode of the Revog Games podcast. Make sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel, youtube.com/Revog, or you can find us on Twitter at Revog Games, and also subscribe to this podcast feed, which is on Spotify or Anchor.fm. You can find me on Twitter at ThinkHero or Instagram Dennis.tzng. And Josh, where can people find you?
You guys can find me on Twitch at Josh_Toki. That's Toki. And yeah, definitely, if give us a follow on Spotify, that would mean a lot to us.
Cool. And so until next time, we'll see you guys later.
Later.